All right, welcome back. We are going to be talking about how to start your journey into grinding. Okay, so the first thing I would recommend is before you even think about trying to grind, just go ahead, find a nice little spot that's flat that you can put maybe a little bit of tape like I did here. One that's straight, the other one that's horizontal, or vertical or horizontal, and then practice the positions there first. Okay, so for example, let me use a sole as a demonstration. All right, so I want to get into that sole position, and I want to find where I'm comfortable in this position without even having to worry about balancing or anything like that. How far low do I want to go? How high up I want to go? And where it feels nice and comfortable on my knees, on my hips, and on my ankles. Okay, so if I was going to do a P-star, same idea. I want to find where I feel comfortable in that position, where my arms want to be, and just kind of feel comfortable here. Because if this is uncomfortable without having to worry about balancing, when you start trying to do a grind, you're going to be more concerned about trying to find your balance and your comfort than trying to actually do the grind. Okay, so if you were doing a Mizu, same thing, find that position. Now, real quick, when we're talking about grinds, we almost always are going to talk about closing the hip or opening the hip. So for example, if I'm doing a sole, I'm actually closing my hips together, right? If I'm doing a Mizu, I'm opening my hips, right? One is going into internal rotation, one is going into external rotation of the hip. Why is this important? Depending on which one of those feel more comfortable, you can use that as leverage to start learning other tricks. So if you find that soles kind of go a little easier with you instead of something like a Mizu, then you're probably going to prefer things like a sole, like a P-star, right? Yeah, grinds that just close your hips. Where if you prefer something that opens the hip, you're probably going to like mistrials. You're going to probably like these. You know, you're probably going to like Savannahs, Unities. One of the few exceptions to this rule is when we do Royales and Farfanugens. Those tend to be one hip opens, one hip closes. One hip opens, one hip closes. And I'm just doing a brief overview. I'm not going over everything. I'm sure that there's some other exceptions, but for the most part, that rule applies pretty well, and it's kind of something easy to remember by so that you can start going through the path of least resistance into learning how to grind. Hope it helps. See you on part 2.